Speaking of content, PFF is pumping out content at a historic rate right now, Bo. They are going through their top 32 and 32 rankings for all positions, and they did their cornerback rankings yesterday. And we're going to run through the top 25 cornerbacks, and then I'm going to have you guys react because 3 Browns made the top 34, and we'll get to those in a sec. Here's top 5. Sauce Gardner, Trent McDuffie, Travarius Ward, Pat Surtain, and Jalen Johnson. We'll do quick thoughts real quick. Any issues with top 5?
Tyvis, you're the cornerback.
Yeah, you're the expert.
No, those are solid names right there.
Yeah.
I know the guy from Chicago had a really good year. Who was 2? McDuffie at the slot. He was really good in the slot. PS2 still, I told y'all he's the best in the league to me. And Travarius Ward for San Francisco had a good year as well. So right there, I don't have a problem with.
We
none
talked
of those
about
names.
Jalen Johnson when they played the Bears last year. He was really good.
He made himself a lot of money this year.
6 to
got
10,
paid.
Mike.
All right, 6 through 10. Jalen Ramsey at number 6. Jair Alexander at 7. Kendall Fuller at 8. Michael Carter, the Jets slot cornerback, at 9. And Teron Johnson at 10. Tyvis, real quick thoughts on 6 through 10.
Jets in the top 9.
Ramsey, when his first game back, he had them 2 picks, and he made a big difference, with the Dolphins. I don't like the way that they played that defense over there, which is why I think Fangio is gone out of there. They're more press man. They was more off over there, and he hated that. Jair Alexander had a really good, solid year this year as a number 1. Kendall Fuller, I really wasn't hip to Kendall this year. I mean, obviously, I trained with Kendall.
Yeah. Isn't that 3 in the top 8 for Miami? Because didn't they have somebody in the top 5?
2 in the top 8.
No, they got 2.
2 in the top 8.
Oh, okay, my bad.
I didn't know Kendall was balling like that. Michael Carter, obviously, he was one of the top slots. And that Johnson dude from Buffalo, they nickel, that dude make plays.
So you don't think Denzel is not unfairly out of the top 10?
Denzel is not right now in there because Denzel missed how many games last year?
3?
It was only 3.
It was a big 3 that he missed.
Yeah.
I just think that when it comes to productivity on the ball, Denzel does get a lot of PBUs, but it was at a time where I feel like they stopped targeting him to where the other guys had picks, and a lot of them dudes is in the slot, so they're getting a lot of passes thrown their ways and getting a lot of interceptions. And for some odd reason, if you make plays in the slot, it's like amplified for some odd reason, and that's why those guys are in there. So, but right now, he could fringe around that 10 spot. I can see Denzel being there. Let me see the list.
Let's see if he falls in the next 5 category. This is 11 through 15. 11 is Darius Williams of the Rams. 12, L'Jarius Sneed, who just got traded to the Titans. Brian Branch, who was a rookie last season in Detroit, is at 13. DJ Reed at 14. 3 Jets cornerbacks in the top 14 before any Browns, by the way. Just want to point that out. And then Rasul Douglas, who got traded from Green Bay to Buffalo, he comes in at number 15.
I mean,
we'll see Denzel.
He should be, like I said, Denzel should be round 10, 11, somewhere in that area right there. L'Jarius Sneed had a really good year last year as well. I can't believe he's so far down the list. Like I said, I think for some odd reason they amplifying these nickels, which I get it because it is tough to play inside there, but it's really diminishing the outside role, and I don't really like that.
It's almost like it should be 2 separate lists.
Yeah, because how many nickels is in there? It's like 5 nickels in the top 10. Like that's ridiculous.
Been a couple. I'd have to go back, but for sure you had Carter, you had McDuffie, who played a ton of slot last year, but they had L'Jarius Sneed on the outside, so I'm not sure how that works. Teron Johnson from Buffalo, at least 3 or 4 times.
Did Kendall play in the slot?
I'd have to go look at the snap count to get that to the end.
All right, let's see 16 to 20.
Here's 16 through 20, which is where Denzel Ward comes in on the list. They have Marlon Humphrey at 16, Denzel at 17, the first Browns cornerback on the list, Jamal Dean from Tampa Bay at 18, Trayvon Diggs from Dallas at 19, and Asante Samuel Jr. at number 20.
Marlon Humphrey had been a great corner. He's been hurt a lot the last couple of years.
Denzel missed 4 games last year.
Yeah.
Marlon not Humphreys. He missed 7.
And the year before, I don't think he played at all, right?
No, he played all 17 in 2022.
Yeah.
This is why PFF is dead to me. Like, it just
Come on. I've said that for
but
months.
that don't even make sense. Like,
Guy's played 9 games the last 2 years. He's always been really good, though, when he's
no,
played.
he is. He's very.
Yeah.
He punches the ball out. He gets picks and all of those things. So I give him that. But come on, man. Like,
I would have.
how is he above? How is he even above Denzel from last year? Like, that don't even make sense to me.
I'm going to admit I'm a little biased, and I'm not watching cornerbacks around the league as much as Tyvis is. But to me, Denzel is right at the back end of that, somewhere between 8 and 12. I think
That's
he's
what.
in
Yeah,
that range.
I agree.
And I'd have him higher, but I'm probably a little biased.
So we're going to get a big picture question here. Let's go through 21 through 25 to round out the top 25. They have Devin Witherspoon at 21, Carlton Davis at 22, Stephon Gilmore at 23, Greg Newsome comes in at 24, and Tariq Woolen at 25. Martin Emerson came in at number 34 on this list, just a heads up, FYI. So the Browns had 3 in the top 35.
Right.
All 3 came after all 3 of the Jets cornerbacks. So I want to start with this question on this list. You saw all the 1 through 25, and then, like I said, Emerson at 34. Of the Browns trio, is Denzel the most incorrectly ranked of those 3? Or do you think Newsome or Emerson have a better case to be higher or lower by more slots?
I'm surprised that Greg Newsome is that high.
Yeah.
I am too, actually.
I don't even.
But it goes to my point.
Yeah.
For
About the
some
slot.
odd reason, they amplify slot play. I don't know what
Yeah.
that's about. Like I said, don't get me wrong. I played in there. It's difficult for sure.
Yeah.
But man,
The problem is, I don't know. We don't really know, where should Greg Newsome be? 30, 35? I mean, who knows? Same thing it's hard because,
And
outside of maybe Tyvis, how much are we watching other corners around the league?
what did Newsome had 2 picks last year?
Yeah. That's never been his thing, according to Jason.
Picks aren't his thing.
No.
It's not like his numbers was crazy either. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
What's the most egregious? Denzel being 16, too low. Emerson,
17,
Newsome
by the way.
being 17, Newsome being 24, too high.
Emerson is.
or Emerson too low. But
Emerson-
how much higher can Emerson be?
Let me see that last slide again.
He was 34, Tyvis.
Let me see that last slide again.
Show him 21 to
Yeah,
25.
Yeah. Nah.
And I could read
Emerson's
you
not,
26
except for
through
maybe
32 if you
Newsome. He's
want.
not better than the rest of
Yeah, I
those
would.
guys, right?
Nah, he can't go on that one. Maybe it ain't that egregious.
I just feel like it's Newsome's too high to me. But maybe I'm underrating Newsome.
Do you want the next couple,
The-
the in-between, real quick, the 26 to
26 to
32?
30,
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, so Roger McCreary, who I'm going to be totally honest.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of
You
him.
know him?
I don't know about.
Even Tyvis doesn't know.
I never. He's on Tennessee. He's 26. Derek Stingley from Houston's 27.
I've heard of him. He's a good player.
He's good.
Darius Slay, 28.
Slay was out he was out for a lot of last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, he missed some time. Tyson Campbell from Jacksonville, 29.
He's a good player.
J.C. Horn, 30.
If he ever stays healthy, he will be a good player.
Deron Bland, who set the pick six record last year, 31.
Yeah, man.
He was like a feast or famine player, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
him and Diggs is about the same.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
either
yeah.
gonna bomb them for you.
Yeah.
They either gonna give you 200 or they gonna get 2 picks.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
Joey Porter Jr. from Pittsburgh was 32.
He's a solid
and then
player.
James Bradbury was 33. Emerson was 34. And Steven Nelson was 35.
That's about right.
I think Emerson, in my opinion, I think Emerson's fairly ranked. I think Ward is underranked. And I think Newsome is way overranked. That's my opinion.
And when you say over,
there.
you mean too high. He's better. He's underranked.
Yes.
He's
yes,
ranked
yes.
too highly number-wise.
I think
He's
Newsome should
undervalued.
be.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm not as big on Emerson as the rest of you guys, but I think he's better than Newsome. Personally,
I agree with
You
that.
think Emerson's better than Newsome?
I do.
Oh, okay.
So I would keep Emerson about where he is, and I'd have Newsome behind him, like between 35 and 40, and I'd have Denzel Ward between 8 and 12. So that's for me. But again, I'll admit I don't know the other team's corners as well.
You would hope, and then Jason, I'm curious what you think. You would hope when PFF puts these out, these are the people that should be watching more than just one or two teams on a close basis.
Sure.
My
They
guess
better be.
is they're relying heavily on the analytics because that's their thing. And Newsome grades very favorably.
Yeah.
in a
Well,
lot
to
of
create the
advanced
analytics, they
metrics.
are watching film.
Yes, of course.
But
I'm
there's
just
flaws
saying,
there.
I mean, I can pull up all the grids you want.
Right, and he's high on some of
and
those.
Greg rates very highly.
There are games where we're like, Greg Newsome didn't play that well, and the grades are good.
Yeah.
And I feel like, that happens with players on every team, both good and bad.
Yeah.
I feel like that the opportunity. I don't know what they grading it off of. Like, are we just talking like pass plays? Like, is like when the ball is in the air, how they do? Like, is that what we talking about? Are we talking about the stamp on a game? Because if that's the case, I understand why nickels are voted higher because they're involved in the run game and all of those things as well. So I get that. I don't know what they're going off of. To me, it seems like they're talking about like playmakers, like who makes the best plays, and that's how I'm taking it.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, I mean, Newsome does have pretty much more opportunity. He should have double the opportunities that Ward or Emerson would have because he can also make a stamp in the run game as well because he's probably asked to come up and make some tackles and stuff like that.
I'm trying to put this together in real time. I haven't really thought about this, but we have always sort of degraded slot corners. Fair? Like the money makers are on the
you're
outside.
Not as good. That's why
if you
the slot
can't play
corner.
on the outside, right? You're not as good. You go inside.
Yeah.
You're telling me that now is the game changing to where there's more value on the inside, or why do you think?
And that guys, and to your point, and because I think you're trying to make this point, correct me if I'm wrong. Are they now putting guys at slot corner not because they're the third best corner on the team, but because they're just better at that role, and they might be the best corner on the team?
I think
potentially.
I think it just depends on the system that you're in because you got to think about wide receivers today. It's not just Calvin Johnson's going to be on the outside. That's not the case anymore.
Yeah, they're all moving about.
If you checking Diggs, you got to play inside, outside, and all those things. Right. So the value is, I always say the most value is if you could play inside and outside, which Newsome has shown that he can do.
But he hasn't been good at
outside. It doesn't matter. It's still at the end of the day, for them 4 games, when Denzel went out for them 4 games, you weren't like, oh my God, what are we going to do?
Well, they didn't play well those games.
But that's not. But you still wasn't like, oh my God, we don't have a corner anymore.
Yeah, okay.
You have somebody capable and competent.
Exactly. So that's where his value comes in. Now, as far as the DB goes, I think that, like I say, he got to be able to do both. Like, he's got to be physical, which gets me about him because his biggest complaint was he didn't like the Joe Woods defense because he didn't want to be in run fits that much. And now that Jim Schwartz came and made his responsibility not that much in the run game, he loves it now and he's thriving off of that. So to me, I don't know like what he's comfortable with. Like, is he just want to be somebody that's just gonna play man to man? Because that's all the Browns play anyways, man to man and a little cover 3. So you just want to check this man and that's it. All right, you could do that anywhere. But I think that at some point you still got to have some value in the run game and come up and make tackles, which he's closer to the ball, so he's going to have those plays. He's going to make tackles that Denzel and Martin's not. He can force fumbles that Martin and Denzel can't. And on top of that, people love to throw over routes and all of these mesh routes. And if he can check those, that's the easy throw for quarterbacks. If he can make plays on that, obviously his production is still going to go up. Yeah. So I just think slots have more opportunity to make plays on the ball.
There's a guy in Cleveland who's on Twitter who has his own analytics website. He goes by Cleve TA on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And he's friends with Anthony Lima. And there was one time and he and I text sometimes, and I invited him to lunch once because I wanted to discuss with him, like, how do you come up with some of these numbers? Like, how does it work? And he explained it to me. But I would like to do it again, and I think that would be really valuable, especially for somebody like Tyvis or G, because they know the intricacies of football better than I do because they played, and in your case, G played at a high level and you played at the highest level. So it would be interesting to get like some background.
Like
on that.
PFF don't have like a requirement to how they graded this. Like, is this coming into this season? Is this overall career?
Oh yeah, what did he say?
What is this off of?
It's a good question.
What are you
Mike.
judging this off of?
The intro to the article. Once again, John Costco wrote this article. We've had John on the show before. He lives in Elizabethton, Tennessee, but he somehow does Cleveland stuff. He was on Locked On, the Locked On Browns podcast every week, so he somehow is tied. I'll read you the exact intro to the article. It's a quick 2 paragraphs.
Okay.
Today we continue our series highlighting the top players in the NFL at every position heading into the 2024 season, and here are top 32 cornerbacks in the league. These cornerback rankings consider several factors: PFF's coverage grade, which is primarily influenced by plays where the defender was targeted, ability to prevent separation, difficulty of assignment, and PFF on grade where the players were not targeted. Adjustments will be made for some players based on their health and snap count while also considering multiple years of context.
Okay, so this is all off of when the ball went to their player, what happened. That's how I
Well,
took
not
it.
all, but obviously.
Well,
yeah.
That's he said it's heavily incentivized.
Yeah, right.
So it basically uses
Okay.
the guys that's making plays on the ball, which what was you got the stats for Newsome, Ward, and Emerson on PBUs last year?
I can tell you Emerson, not Emerson, I can tell you Newsome real quick because in the write-up, he mentioned that Newsome has 21 PBUs, which
That's
is
a
tied
lot.
for 20th over this 20th in the league over the last 2 years.
See, that's
20th in the league.
But that, that's
High volume.
slots get more action.
But here's what I don't get, okay? And you see, and this is what makes it so complicated to compare players at any position in football besides quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and maybe tight end. With those positions, there's so many statistics that we all get, right?
Yeah.
And it makes for an even if it's not a perfect, even if they're not perfect stats, it makes it an easier comparison.
Mm-hmm.
With a cornerback, we're mostly looking at interceptions and PBUs. Well, okay, in 2 years, Greg Newsome had how many PBUs?
He had 21 last year in 2023.
Yeah.
Emerson and Newsome both had 14.
Yeah.
Ward had 11.
So you're talking about, at most, a guy's got like one a game. So you're essentially, between interceptions and PBUs, you're probably talking about one play a game. So there's so many other plays. Like, I can't just judge a cornerback based on one play a game that he makes or the other guy doesn't.
Yeah, you
There's
can.
a lot of plays in that game.
Yeah, you can. I got a great friend that
Yeah.
will sit here and argue about
Yeah,
this
what we
because
say?
he dealt with this many years of his
Yeah.
career where he would sit there all game
Yeah.
and
Sure.
they would not even come his way and he get
Right.
one opportunity to make a play. That's it, just one opportunity. And if he didn't make the play,
Yeah.
it looked like he was just the worst person in the
Right.
world. But not everybody forgets the fact that for 70 other plays they didn't even look his
But
way.
that's my point. Like, you can't
He
just
said,
judge.
and he'd be like, he said, you can't get bored. He like,
Yeah.
you sit there, you'd be like, maybe this is the play that they do. And
Right.
then you go 69 plays in a row and it's still nothing happens.
That's
And
incredible.
Then on the 70th play, they want to throw a little hitch route over there. And it's like, dude.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
incredible.
It was hilarious to actually watch because I didn't believe it. I actually watched it live. Like, they really not going to target this man.
Would he be bored? Like,